Hi guys and welcome back to Slice of Mike. Today I'm talking about the books that I am currently reading, which is why this video is called Currently Reading, and I also wanted to talk about some announcements and some housekeeping things on my channel and just catch you guys up to speed. I don't think I'm going to be doing a wrap-up this month because I've read 2 books so far, which is just atrocious for me, and I normally read like 7 or 8 books in a month, but yeah. Without further ado, the first book that I am currently reading is The Secret History by Donna Tartt, who also wrote The Goldfinch, which I really like. This book is about a group of college students at a small liberal arts college in, I think it's Vermont, and they're all just very rich, strange, eccentric, nerdy, sassy people, and in this group of characters, there's one guy named Richard who's the main character, and he doesn't really fit in because he's from California, and he doesn't have as much money as the rest of them, and he doesn't really know what he's doing with his life. The other characters don't really need jobs, they don't need a college education, they're just doing it for fun. Richard ends up becoming friends with this group of kids who are all taking the same classes together. They have one professor who teaches them everything. The focus of their group is Greek studies, so they learn ancient Greek and they also learn Latin and philosophy and stuff like that. The thing about this book is that it starts with a murder, which is kind of a prologue because it happens later on in the book after you meet all the characters, but in the very beginning, one of the characters is declared dead, so it's not a spoiler because everybody finds out about it in the first page. And then I guess it builds up to that and kind of describes why this character was killed and who murdered him. And you get the idea that there's something dubious happening between the professor and some of the students, and it's kind of a cultish thing, but I'm only about a quarter through yet, so I don't really know what the cult is or what's really happening. It's just a very good contemplative book if you're of the college age and you're still trying to figure out your life. I think you'd probably find this book very relatable. The next book that I'm reading is actually ruining my life, and that is Moby-Dick by Herman Melville, which I've been wanting to read for a while, and I think I talked about it in my May TBR, but I finally got around to it. And this book is just... what? This book is just like unlike anything I've ever read before, and I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just kind of consumed my life, and I'm only about halfway through. I actually really enjoyed the first few chapters of this book. It follows a character named Ishmael who joins a shipping whaling expedition and meets other characters along the way, including this really interesting island native named Queequeg, who's just a really cool character. He has a very unique way of talking, and I felt like there was a good discussion of race and kind of the intersection of religions, and I really enjoyed that. And then they get on the ship, and things just take a whole nother direction. The narrative is actually really good, and I do like the story, the idea of this whaling expedition and this crazy captain Ahab, but I also don't like the chapters that are interspersed throughout the book that are about things like whale biology and how to harpoon a whale safely, and just stuff that kind of takes you out of the action and takes you away from the characters and the story. It really made it hard for me initially to stay interested in the story, and then I just made the decision to stop reading those chapters because they weren't keeping me interested. So I guess I'm kind of cheating, but you know what? If I can finish this book and get to the last page, I don't care how many pages I've skipped, I'm going to consider that I have read this book, and it's been quite a journey so far, but it's one book that I feel like I can't put down. I need to finish it because if I didn't finish it, it would just be a sad, sad day. The next book I am currently reading, I've been currently reading for like 2 months, and I honestly haven't really cracked the cover, but I still have it and I still want to finish it. And that book is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir, which I was really excited to read when the buzz was kind of peaking and everyone was reading it and doing reviews on it, but now that I've seen 5 billion reviews on the book and I just have kind of been taken out of the action, I don't really know if I want to finish it. Once you're on the other end of the hype machine and you're reading it after everybody else, it doesn't really have the same appeal. I know a lot of people have read this and they've enjoyed it, and the hype has lived up to its name, at least for most people involved, so I am looking forward to finishing this. I just haven't been reading a ton of YA lately, so it's been hard for me to get into it, but I do have a copy, obviously, so I will finish it soon, and I'll let you know what I think when that happens. The next book that I'm reading is called Necessary Errors by Caleb Crane, and this is a book that was recommended to me by a friend probably 4 years ago. It's one of those books that kind of slips your mind, but then you see it at the library or online and you remembered that you wanted to read it. So this book is about a character named Jacob who's living in Prague during the 1990s, and this is right after the dissolution of the USSR, so he is living in this political climate that is very strange. There's kind of a blend of communism and capitalism, and the Czech Republic hasn't really figured out how to make the free market work yet. Add to that the fact that Jacob is gay and he really wants to be gay freely, but he can't come out to his friends because it's the 1990s in post-communist Eastern Europe, and it's just not a very safe climate for that to happen. So Jacob has to hide that part of himself, and there's a very interesting dynamic between who he is really and who he shows his friends who he is on the surface. It's a really enjoyable book so far. I'm almost halfway through. If you've studied abroad, this is definitely a book that you want to read because it very easily summons up all those feelings that you have when you go abroad and you're not used to the language or the culture and you have to make all these changes. And it's just a very eye-opening book, and I especially like the fact that it takes place a little bit in the past, so you have that added fact of the historical development, which you know is going to happen, but obviously it hasn't happened here yet. So it's a very multi-layered book, which I really am enjoying so far, like I said, and I can't wait to finish it. I'm also reading 2 comic series. I just started them. They're from Image Comics, which Image Comics is totally the love of my life currently. I love every single series that they produce. If you like anything along the lines of Saga or Chew or East of West or other ones which my mind is blanking on now, just go search Image Comics and you'll find about 1 billion series that you are bound to enjoy. I've done that and I found 2 series that I've liked so far. The first one is called Deadly Class. It's a very visually appealing comic. It's violent, which I think I've said before I really enjoy in comics. I like when they're super violent, otherwise it kind of doesn't hold my interest. And like I said, this is about a group of young assassins, and the main character really wants to kill Ronald Reagan because he blames him for the death of his parents. So there's this idea of being able to change the world by being an assassin and killing people selectively. I haven't heard too much about this on BookTube. I don't really know if it's a popular series, but I like it so far, and I thought the characters were really cool. I like the design, the art design, the story is pretty interesting, so I am looking forward to finishing this volume and picking up the next one if I decide to continue on with the series. The next comic is called 5 Ghosts, which is also by Image Comics, and this is about a guy named Fabian Gray who's possessed by the spirits of 5 dead writers, and you can kind of see them on the back here, and he's a treasure hunter who is able to use their different strengths to steal treasure from around the world. That concept kind of reminded me of Sense8 on Netflix, which I am loving currently, but this idea of being able to borrow somebody else's abilities and use them in your own body was just a cool concept, and I really like the design. And obviously, since this comic is about being possessed by the ghost of several dead writers, which is my dream, I'm sure people on BookTube will enjoy this because it's just a very book-centric comic, if that makes sense. So that is it for all the books that I'm currently reading. I also wanted to mention that I'm on several different social media accounts, including Instagram and also Twitter. So if you guys are ever bored and you're not getting enough of me on YouTube, just check out Instagram, check out Twitter, and you can see other stuff that I've been doing lately. I really enjoy Instagram because it's kind of a different medium, and I like taking photos, and there's also a lot of cool people on Instagram. They have their own bookish community called Bookstagram, so if you're looking for more friends to talk to about books, it's definitely worth checking out. I like Instagram personally, and I think you'll probably like it too. And lastly, I wanted to say that I'm doing a Q&A, which I plan on filming next week to celebrate 2,000 subscribers. Thank you! So if you have a question you want to ask me and you haven't done that so far, you can leave a comment on this video. You can go check out my 2,000 subs announcement and leave a comment there. You can tweet me, you can do whatever you want. Just make sure that I get your question and I will answer it in that video, which is probably going to go up next week, and will likely be 2 parts because there are a lot of questions to answer and I don't want to bore you all to death. So anyways, that's going to be it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm glad to be back on BookTube and filming, and hopefully I'll be able to film more consistently moving forward, but that's always been a problem and probably always will. But anyways, I hope you guys have a good weekend, and I will talk to you all later. Bye!